Hi, my name's Jamie and I make videos and put them on YouTube. It's Monday, the 30th of October 2023 and the time is 8:02 AM. And this morning we find ourselves in Woodford, a village in the borough of Stockport, the most southerly part of all of Greater Manchester, and once home to the famous Woodford Aerodrome, owned in 1924 by Avro, where the famous Lancaster bombers were built for World War II. But the reason I've come to this specific spot this morning is the Fred Perry Way. Now, depending on whether you're walking from north to south or south to north, this could be the end or the beginning of the Fred Perry Way. Let's do it. Now, the Fred Perry Way is a route that traverses Stockport Borough from Reddish in the north to Woodford, where we are in the south. A 14-mile long route that combines rural footpaths, quiet lanes and river valleys with urban landscapes and parklands. At least today I'm not wearing sliders. Now, who was Fred Perry? He was a tennis player who played at Wimbledon and won. He was from Portwood. That's where Big Tesco is, isn't it, by the roundabout? Yeah, apparently he won the men's singles at Wimbledon in 1934, 35 and 36, and he was the last English men's tennis player to win the title. So this first section is basically a, well, slightly muddy right now, footpath at the back of a load of posh houses, and this will bring us out on Church Lane. Viewers, fellow adventurisers, are any of you readers? Do you like to read a good book? I'm currently reading one by a guy called Eric Newby called Around Ireland in Low Gear, and it starts in the winter of 1985 with Eric and his Slovenian wife Wanda basically riding their bikes around Southern Ireland. Unfortunately, with it being the middle of winter, the weather wasn't too kind to them. Thank God for waterproof walking boots, eh? Not the most evident, but if you just look for this pod on the left, this is where the Fred Perry Way is. Just to the right of it. It is a bit posh around here. Speaking of Perrys, probably no relation, but the world awoke yesterday to the terrible news that Matthew Perry had died, an apparent drowning in his Los Angeles home in his jacuzzi. Such a sad loss. I absolutely loved him as Chandler Bing in Friends. I always thought of the three male friends, Chandler was the one I was most like. I have actually been listening to the audiobook Friends, Lovers and the Big Terrible Thing on Spotify. He seemed quite a troubled soul, so he did. He said he didn't want to be remembered for his work in Friends, but rather the work he did with addicts, whether it be alcohol or drugs, like himself. Rest in peace, Chandler Bing. Adequate signage. I believe Woodford Aerodrome closed down in 2011 and was demolished in 2015. All a load of new houses now. There are some very good maps available online for the Fred Perry Way. If you just go on Google and type in Fred Perry Way map, you'll see on the GM walking group page, for example, section 6, which I'm on right now, with a clearly defined red line of the route. some worldly properties out here. This was historically part of Cheshire. Average property prices here ranging between 400 and 500,000 pounds. On it. If you look to the east, you can see the hills of the Peak District on the horizon. It's Halloween tomorrow. Not everybody's cup of tea, but over the last 2 nights we've watched Hocus Pocus and Hocus Pocus 2. I quite enjoyed them. Could imagine a witch living here. There's one thing I don't like about Halloween, which is a beautiful little rose. Bramble Cricket Club just over there to the right. The Richard Cragg Cricket Ground. Little squizzers in the trees. And yet another worldly property here to my left. Longacre. And now as we reach Moor Lane, we must have done at least the first mile of the Fred Perry Way together. At this point the Fred Perry Way continues straight from Church Lane across and down here Highfield Parkway. Here comes the rain again, and I'm feeling like Eric Newby in Ireland in 1985. As my friend Phil can attest, the 14-mile route that is the Fred Perry Way can easily be done in a day. But the great thing about it is that you can just pick off smaller sections like I'm doing at the minute, just because in Stockport there's so many options with the buses and the trains. For those of you who haven't watched Phil of the channel Heat and Reddish Walkers, I will recommend once again that you watch his video, well, all of his videos, walking the Fred Perry Way. See, that's the great thing about YouTube. It's a little community. If it wasn't for me making my videos, I would never have met Phil. My brother Andrew probably wouldn't have started his channel, Forest and Fire. Check that out as well. I wouldn't have met a mad Scottish guy in a kilt trying to get as far away as he could from Manchester Airport with no money. Check out his channel, Chris Jokes. I even had Simon Wilson rock up at the airport and ask him to star in one of his videos during the World Cup. Madness. Oh, it's absolutely lashing down. This here that we're crossing, guys, is the A555. And I'm glad today that I'm not filming on my iPad and that I have actually got a waterproof GoPro with me. Jesus. Welcome to a British autumn. It's 8:40 and I find myself at Woodford Recreation Ground, where this walk will continue 2 weeks ago. Until then, take care of yourselves.